everybody. Hey, I'm sorry that it's taken me so long to get this thing out of the can. Little production problems. Yeah, like I lost the file, so a little bit of a production problem when you lose the file. Anyway, hope everybody had their Monday start off well. Hey, look, don't want to get too far ahead on the transition. We'll talk about a little bit more about that next week. But my biggest worry for the FAA on a new administration, obviously, is paralysis over the next who knows how long. If you remember, at the end of last year, there was a furlough, and it's a little bit different, but not completely different. That who knows, they don't know what they're going to do and what they're focused on, and in that, the furlough lasted for about 5 weeks, and that translates, if you read this latest CIP, which is at the end of the budget document in short form. Thanks, Ann, for sending that around. The CIP says that because of that furlough, they're taking a 5-month hit on program after program after program. So if we think that, they'll be slowed down for, the next 2 months at least, then, what does that hit look like? And that means slowdown of opportunities, awards, transitions, lots of things that are sort of in play, since aviation is a little bit on the pretty neutral as far as political parties go. So my worry is paralysis. Now, to get through that paralysis, a lot of those things have to get discussed with the transition team, and then they have to get up to speed and move through the system. Dan Elwell was part of the Trump's transition team, and he was a special advisor to the secretary during that process, and then of course that worked his way into being the deputy. In this case, the only person I know is John Picari. He's part of the Biden transition team. He's running the transportation transition. The good thing is that John is not new to this. He was the Deputy Secretary of Transportation, and that just means he knows what we do in aviation, and I'm sure he'll have a team that covers that. He's more of a surface guy, but hey, at least he knows something about the department, and that's all good for us. So I have no idea why the FAA would do something like this, but they're actually funded, at this time of year too, funded MIT Lincoln Labs to develop a small airport surveillance solution. So today, if you're in a tower, you might lose the ability to have situational awareness because of fog or dark or lots of reasons. And some towers have what they call a digital brighter. It's actually, today it's called a STARS light, and it's just a remote display of what the TRACON controller has from a radar screen. And so if you don't get coverage from another radar, like another airport surveillance radar, you might be limited. However, the FAA has approved and authorized drones to be seen with Fordham radars, SRC's radars, Raytheon's new Skylar radar. There's lots of these kind of radars out there. And to fund somebody to see small airplanes as big as a Cessna 150 or Carl's, Skylane, maybe they didn't really need to have somebody build a new one. They could have just put out an RFI, and they would have seen that there's a catalog for these things, and you can buy them by the dozens, like going to Walmart. So I have no idea, but anyway, MIT Lincoln Labs built one. Isn't that awesome? Hey, Keen Next Gen metric. So when we started Next Gen, one of the things that we wanted to track was cost of a ticket, and inflation adjusted, you'd like to see that cost go down because the FAA's activities and things were having an impact in reducing fuel and costs that were the government's responsibility. Well, nobody's really talked about that because it's never really worked out that way. We've paid more. The FAA's done more, and we pay more for bags, and we pay for food, and we pay for our own coffee. We pay for a lot of things now. But the one good thing that's happening in 2020 is it's hit the lowest inflation-adjusted price since they started keeping records on this stuff. So 1995 was when the department started keeping track, and now the average price is $259. And before this, the previous low was the beginning of 2020, which was $334. So one good thing in 2020 is prices of air travel are going down. It's a fire sale, blue light special, so we ought to get on that because that's a pretty cheap number. It probably won't last, that's for sure. Hey, Now we're up to flying cars. Beyond electric vehicles and things like that, there's been a rush around the world about people building a car that can go on a road and certify it with a license plate and then take off as well. And Klein Air Car Company of Slovakia just finished a big test flight. I mean, one that actually is stable, seems to work out pretty well, and it's kind of interesting. The thing is that when you take off, then a regulator anywhere, whether it's the US, EASA would cover Slovakia, AESA, which is the Asian group that takes care of Asia certifications and things like that, they all say that you can't change your own oil. You need an A&P mechanic to do that. I can't even imagine how you take care of something like this. So it just reminds me, and we're going to talk about it in a second, about how important regulations are before you start worrying about the technology. So I do have a recommendation though. If you're really looking for an air-car combination, I highly recommend Embraer's Phenom 300, which is Embraer's big business jet, coupled with a Porsche Turbo S 911. Now they are selling those as a package, so you can get them painted the same leather interior, the same stitching to match, cool new logos on both cars to match, and it comes as a set. And so you can buy this set today, and it's not bad. 10.9 million, but I will say it might seem a little steep at first, but when you understand that a color coordinated monogrammed 3-piece luggage set comes with it, it doesn't seem all that bad. So that's on sale today, and I think that's really the hot property as opposed to the Klein Air Car. This one bothers me. American Airlines has released new information. Let me say that again, new information that Harvard did a study that said that their cleaning process actually works for COVID. Well, I kind of think that would have been important to know before they started loading up the airplanes as well as the middle seat. It gives me no more confidence to go flying, because they should have had that done, I'll say a long time ago, instead of last week. No good deed comes unpunished. I've got lots of stories about working with unions, particularly when I was doing some labor work for Ford company when we were doing quality as job one in glasses. We can talk about that another time, but pilot groups have come out on the MAX training. Now the MAX went from 58-minute average using an iPad to about 5 hours and 26 minutes, 2 hours being in a simulator, and approved by an independent global group of experts for human factors training to make sure that was an appropriate thing. And I have to believe that the FAA has gone complete overkill on anything they're doing on for the MAX. It has to be overkill, because no one could tolerate another accident. So have to believe that. I think the people we know at the FAA would believe that, where it's all in overkill. But the pilot groups have come out. They want more training. Well, not exactly more, like not more than 5 hours, but they want it more often. So it's going to take several months for Southwest to get through the process. American is even taken longer, and they have less airplanes, but since they're diversified, it takes longer to schedule these people. And so they want to move it up instead of every 3 years to every 2 years. I'm sure that for expedience, they're just going to move out and do something straightforward so they can get back flying. But it's a little late for that kind of discussion, since all these groups have also been involved in what's happening along the way, so that everybody has confidence in returning. So I want to go back to the importance of regulation like the Klein Air Car. So most countries are really advertising like crazy what they can do for drones, how you can deliver things, but even in the US, you really can't do that except for very limited space. Wing can do it down in Blacksburg, Virginia. Amazon's doing some stuff in southwestern North Carolina, as long as they're not over people. And it has to be for something important like moving medical supplies and things like that. Google's delivering library books and burritos. But what happens is these companies that do that and get a lot of backing from their government eventually wind up in Kenya, Kenya must have over 100 of drone manufacturers because they have a very loose-fitting regulatory policy that allows you to just go out and go fly. So everybody advertises that they can do this kind of stuff, but the only place you can really do it is Kenya. You can do it as much as you want, and they move a lot of medical supplies there, water, food, other things that help with infrastructure like parts to keep water pumps going. You know, you take that as a model, it's pretty amazing, but they're the only ones that seem to have a regulatory policy that allows you to go do this kind of stuff, and you know, everybody else has to get on board, and I believe that's our challenge. Our challenge is to help a lot of these companies get through the policy part, because if you don't have the policy in place, it doesn't matter what the technology is, whether you can get an air car to fly or whether you can get a rocket to go. It's all about the policy. Otherwise, we don't seem to be able to move forward. That's the next challenge for whatever the next gen thing is going to be. Atka would call it blue skies, and I'm pushing hard to make sure that policy is covered and all that. I want you to have a great week, and I will talk to you on Monday.